feels like a Monday. I'll start it off that way. We've been doing this now for like 6 weeks or so, you guys. Does it feel like it feels like a vacation that I'm over the vacation and now I just want to go home.
Yeah, you want to sleep in your own bed?
I do. I do. I feel like it's like, okay, I've been on a vacation and it's been okay. It's like a family vacation. So not like even like a fun vacation, it's like the family vacation.
A trip?
And yes, a family trip. It's been a family trip. And I'm at the tail end of the couple-week family trip, and I really want to go home, and that's how I feel. Except I have been home, so that's the irony of this whole thing. Stephen, have you resumed going into the office?
No. What's the right
No,
answer?
you have not. Never mind. What are you talking about? Never mind.
Yeah, I have. I've gone there a little bit, because technically we're essential for what we do, so I have gone in there in the past couple days and was kind of over it. The whole office got deep clean. There's only probably 2 or 3 of us there, but it's been a nice change, honestly. I love my house and I love my family, but it's been nice to go back to the office.
You mean you don't like sitting necessarily in your office in your bedroom?
No, I got kicked out of that one.
Oh,
Again?
That was my second stop. Then I made a third stop in the actual office, and then I got kicked out of there too. So I'm at my office now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about you, Melissa? Have you guys been able to even stop into the office at all?
Yeah, I mean, we're allowed to go in. We were considered essential or whatever. I have not been in. I just don't want to muddy the waters. I actually got kicked off my VPN last week, and the only way to get back on it was to be on the Stewart network. So I went and sat in the parking lot connected to the Wi-Fi. But you know, they're trying to limit the ins and outs, and the nature of our businesses, we have things coming in and out. So I just didn't want to contribute to that. But I'm ready to start. I don't even know if it's about the office. It's about like seeing people, and like Zoom's great, but I'm ready to like see people.
Mm-hmm. First of all, might I add, your hair is looking very long.
Oh, I am also on my iPhone today, so instead of looking down, straight at. But yeah, I'm probably
your hair is like looking like it's grown. It's like grown in this season.
It probably has. And today was my day to be a 3rd grade teacher. Quentin covered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What's that?
I said mine has grown in gray, but we won't say that.
No, my grays are all in the back, so you don't get to see them. But yeah, Quentin was my teacher. It was my day to be the teacher, so I'm freshly showered. Like I didn't get ready until like an hour ago.
So you got to do all the school things. That's awesome. And Adrian, how are you? What, Melissa?
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say we actually got school done by like 11:30 today.
What time are you starting?
8:30.
Yeah, awesome. Adrian, how are you dealing with everything right now these days? Like, what's this week like looking like for you?
Good, yeah. So we're kind of like in the same boat. I still set the alarm clock for my son in the morning, so it goes off and he's got to get in the shower, brush his teeth, do his hair, come down, eat his breakfast, and then get on the computer and do his homework. So yeah, schoolwork in the mornings, we're done, same thing by 11, and then then I can focus on what it is that I need to do. But I think like we've all just kind of adapted to this being what it is, and I feel like we're in a pretty good routine. So yeah,
I think truly it's about finding that routine. I think it's almost like whenever we as parents go into a summer vacation, where now it's summertime, we kind of go into a summer mode, and we have school mode and summer mode, and we're okay with it when the kids are home all summer long. But when it's expected, it's like, this is summer. There's one of my children right there. But like when we have school season, it's like, no, this is what they're supposed to do. And so it's taking all of us out of our routine. Just like you said, Melissa, I I was told by somebody in my life said that they were pregnant, and all I wanted to do was like squeeze them and hug them and give them the biggest like loves, and I was so excited, and I had to like stand far away, and it drove me crazy. I was like so upset, and like I've seen one of our friends with their baby, and all I wanted to do was snuggle that baby and just love on it, and I couldn't do that either. So that is, like I've said before multiple times, I didn't realize how touchy and huggy and feely I was, but everybody's gonna get all the hugs and loves and pats and kisses from me. That's just gonna happen. Hopefully it's not like a uncomfortable thing, but it's gonna maybe be. So I'm prepared for that. Hey, so Stephen,
Yeah.
this week you guys at Movement kind of made some pretty big announcements. And that's just a Movement thing, right? That's not like across the board other mortgage companies type
That's
thing,
just
right?
a Movement. Yep. Come about the one today?
So what is going on?
The one today?
Well, it was today or yesterday, right?
No, it's today. It's just early. The $2,500.
Oh, well, it feels like now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the $2,500 and the whole thing for like, yeah, explain what that is, because that's pretty cool.
So I'm pulling it up so I have the actual details because it's so new today. So we basically did a $2,500 credit. We're calling it the Frontline Heroes program. So basically, for right now, it's hospital workers, EMS, full-time police, and full-time firefighters. In between May 1st and June 30th, if you get into contract, we'll give you a $2,500 credit towards closing costs. So that can help, especially with, I mean, we're seeing multiple offers. So if we can ask for a little bit, if they need closing cost assistance, if we can ask for a little bit from them, less from the seller or less out of their pocket, $2,500 can go a long way. So we are super, super excited. It starts tomorrow. So we're excited to get that.
So now that's not like a grant. That's not like a repayment thing. That's like, is that like a gift from Movement Mortgage? Like
Yep.
Casey's writing $2,500 checks to all the peeps?
So it's a combination of the loan officer and Movement itself. I mean, the good news is with Movement.
So you're writing a check. That's so nice of you.
Yeah, I do a little bit, and he does a little bit. The good news is with Movement, since we're owned 40% by our foundation, that, you know, instead of foundation saying, okay, we'll take profit from this, they're saying, hey, we're going to write a big check at the end of the year anyways to give stuff away. Let's just do this in the meantime to help spur on, you know, the economy, housing, and help our people that are, you know, on the front lines every day, just absolutely killing it.
That's awesome.
Not killing
That's
it for us, doing amazing for us. That's what I meant.
I mean, no, that's really amazing. I mean, I'm thinking we have currently clients right now. We have 2 nurses. I have a client they're kind of in the beginning phases. That's a firefighter. I mean, that's just really cool. Do you know how long the program's going to go for? Do you guys know that?
We're doing it till June 30th.
Till June 30th. So contract.
In contract by, yeah. So
okay, so not closed by June 30th.
No, it's not closed by.
Cool. That's awesome. And then I saw something also about your VA situation. What's going on with that?
Did you? So
I saw
I about the one that we went. So I think that was last week, the one that I saw that I posted, and we went to 620 now. So we removed it. Is that
I'm
today?
gonna find that.
Okay, find that.
I don't know, Stephen. I feel like your world changes way more than ours. Our world is just, we still gotta sell houses and help people find them, and inventory's low, and it sucks. There's not anything for sale. And then we've got 2 sides of that, right? We've got the glass half full people and the glass half empty people. The glass half full are like, the market is completely, this is an amazing time for me because there's nothing for sale. I can sell my home. I can do really well and capitalize on that. Or I can buy a home and I can capitalize on not being in nearly as competitive as market, versus the glass half empty, which is like, oh my God, nobody can come into my home because of all this COVID stuff, and we don't know what's going on in the market, which I fully understand. So I don't want to say that's like a bad thing. I get it. I do. I'm a little bit of both. But I mean, you definitely have, that's our world. And your world is like, we're changing this now. And now we have this program. And now there's this thing. And it's like, I feel like every week we've got to just catch up with whatever's going on in the mortgage market. It's bananas.
Yeah, that's our world exactly, to a T, right? It's always this constant risk tolerance, risk threshold. And then obviously with right now, it just changes every day, and literally we look at stuff every day. So if there's an opportunity for us to, like we did last week, we went from a 640 minimum credit score to 620. Hopefully, fairly soon we can go 620, 580, 580 below. So it's just something we constantly look at.
We really want to go like 580 below?
So yeah, I mean, it's not a guarantee that you get the loan approval at that point, but it gives them a shot. So we've definitely closed some stuff below 580. Obviously, there is more risk involved, so the rate will differentiate from someone at say 780, but there are possibilities to get that done. Just it's a little tougher right now. Obviously, we just got to figure out the whole forbearance thing, get people back to work, all kinds of stuff like that. So in the meantime, we'll stick to a little bit lower, but not that low yet.
My husband heard a statistic, and he was supposed to email it to me, but since he's sitting at the kitchen table just right across there, I can yell at him. He said something about, he read an article about mortgage forbearances, and it was like terrible. It was like so many people have actually already got 1 month of forbearance under their belt, and it's like, I mean, I'm not going to say there's always a reason and there's always a cause, but it does freak me out a little bit when I hear that. And in fact, I heard from somebody just today, and I didn't get to have a deeper conversation about it, but that one of their mortgages like automatically went into a forbearance and they got money in their account. And I was like, what do you mean? How did that happen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. You just cut out. I mean, you're like a little bit slow. So yeah, I did.
I wonder if I can connect to my Wi-Fi.
There's
3
3 million people right now in forbearance. So 3 million's a lot.
Wow. But what are you talking about? Money in the account?
Wait, there you are. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. This is what happens when we have really crappy CenturyLink service.
Shout out CenturyLink.
Yeah, I'd like more speed on that one, CenturyLink. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. What did you say?
So I said that there was 3 million people right now currently in forbearance. That number will probably keep going up. And then Melissa had a different question.
Yeah, I did. You mentioned that they said there was money in their account through forbearance. I'm confused on that.
I know. I need to have that conversation with this person in my life, but I overheard them. They mentioned in passing today that, and I couldn't have a deeper conversation. So they're like, what? But it was like one of their accounts went into forbearance and they didn't even realize it until they saw the money that must have, like, if it's EFT and it comes out of your account, it just was back in there.
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
got it.
What? Like, how does that even, I thought that was like an elected thing. You had to electively say yes to that, right? Or how does that work? Because I don't know, that I get fearful for if, I don't know, like forbearance just carries with it like a lot of different things. And that's just a really kind of scary situation. I mean, it'd be one thing if, like, I remember back when the economy was like in the crapper, and we found out, which is a thing that you can do still, which is like you can call up your car, like your car company, like who you have your car loan through, and say, hey, I want a deferment and I don't want to pay this month. You can post it out and they just add it on. It's a really tough time, whatever. And they will do that. And that's an okay thing. But like the mortgage thing, it's kind of creepy. It's kind of scary to me. Am I wrong for thinking that?
No, you're right, because we've seen people already that have had that, like we've pulled credit and it says forbearance and we talk to them, and some of them haven't even gone that route. They've just had the conversation. They've called up and said, hey, tell me about forbearance, and they're like, hey, it's X, Y, and Z, and then they go, I don't really want to do that. Well, just that conversation, we've already seen some people had it pop on there.
Oh
so
my
at
God.
that point, we have to pump the brakes and figure out how to get it removed, and it's all new about that. And I think that stems from a lot of it being the fact that this time around with forbearance, we are seeing that you don't have to prove it. So you basically have to just attest to the fact that COVID has disrupted you. And that's been kind of the big thing that lenders were like, hey, how about we do documentation instead of just saying, I attest. So we've seen people that have already, inquired about or clicked on something, and then all of a sudden it's boom, the word forbearance is on there. So just be careful of that, obviously. We've seen places where if you make the inquiry or you click a box and don't read the fine print just to go inspect and figure out what it would look like, that in some cases can put it in quote forbearance in terms of credit.
What does that do to your credit if that's the case?
So it makes it very hard to move forward because we have to, hey, what's going on? Are you really in forbearance? Are you not in forbearance? Okay, let's prove that you're not. And obviously that sends up red flags. So we want to make sure, obviously, that if it's something that they are doing and need to do, then that's probably going to preclude them from financing at this point. Not saying that's a long-term thing. We, Fannie, Freddie, which write conventional loan guidance, and FHA and VA could come out in 30 days and say, here's specific guidance on how to treat this. We don't have that yet. So now it's kind of a one-off scenario.
Wow.
They figured out, but obviously if you were in charge of a large company and you were about controlling risk, that would obviously send up some red flags. Even if you got it removed, you'd be like, hey, did you really? So time will tell.
Well, and I can say, since my refinance is almost through, in fact, Melissa, I need to figure out do you want to be my notary, and do you want to notarize? You can't be my notary because you're my friend.
No, I absolutely can. Does that mean I get to see people?
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
We can work something out.
Yeah, okay, I like that. So I need to notarize these documents that Steven's going to get to escrow. But what I was going to throw into that is the fact that, in this refinance and my last refinance that went through in like February on my rental property, Steven, this has never had happened to me in all of my years of buying all these real estate deals. I had to get on the phone with the credit people that you guys, I don't know, third party or something. And for anybody that's actually watching this, like, that is something that's a real thing. You have to get on the phone. They'll call you and say, we need to clarify these things. They'll get all of your accounts on the phone just to verify with that person that you made your last payment and that the next payment is due next month and that you're current on all the things. So in the past, Stephen, I would imagine you used to just have the credit report that said, everything is current, everything looks good. And now they're taking it an extra step. That's like, hey, not only does everything on your credit report from the last 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, so on, look good, but we're gonna go further and just verify that you did what you're supposed to do, which is pay your bills. And that is it's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's a slightly invasive process. It's kind of like, I told you I paid them. And they're like, you just need to verify that Miss Barrick did pay this bill. And what's the total owing? And what's this and what's that? Okay, thank you, bye. Next one. I'm like, what? This is very invasive, but I get it, because as a lender, you guys are trying to mitigate, like you said, the risk. Yeah. And you don't want, so for anybody that is in the process of getting a mortgage, that's a normal thing. And if for anybody that is not realizing that that'll happen, yes, in the end of the day, you do have to pay your bills. That is a real thing because it will come back around. So I could see where forbearance could definitely come up for somebody if they are in the process of trying to do maybe a refinance and take advantage of rates. If that conversation comes up, that could be a really weird, awkward, I don't know, conversation. Am I wrong?
No, completely true. Because as of right now, that would pretty much put the hold on anything moving forward, on your requalification, on your purchase, on your refinance. That's a big deal for right now.
That's a good deal. Well, and Jeff just said, what is it, Jeff? There was 2.5, how many millions?
Close to 2.5 million.
2.5 million mortgages as of right now are in forbearance. And that's about how much percentage? 7%. That's about 7% of the total amount of mortgages in the United States.
1 in 17, I think I saw.
That's not good.
No, it's not good.
That's not a good thing.
So it can keep climbing. That's what we know so far.
Yeah.
Anticipating, I've had this question a lot. I talked to a gal today who was in contract. Her husband was laid off of work. He's gone back. He was only off work for 5 days. He used his vacation. He had to use his vacation time up and his sick leave at first, and then he's gone back to work, not this full time that he's normally been working, but he is back at least part time. What's going to happen, because they still want to buy a home, they're still interested in looking for a home. What is that going to look like from the lending side? For a lot of people who've been temporarily furloughed off work and now are going to be slowly rolling back. What is that going to look for them, like for them, you know, getting qualified again, I guess?
Yeah. So great question, because if you're qualifying someone at 40 hours and now they're working 20, that's a big difference. If hours are what we call variable, which means I work 40, 38, 37, 42, 30, it's variable income is usually some type of calculation. It's a 12-month average, a 24-month average, trying to get the clearest picture possible. But now all of a sudden you throw in less hours, less time, then it starts to be, you know, this moving target of, okay, what can we give you credit for? And then again, we're going to try to figure out what the future looks like. So part of what we've added now, and most lenders have now as part of the closing process, is we actually call at the end. Instead, before we would just call and say, hey, is Mr. Smith still employed? They'd say, yep. Say, good, close the loan. Now it's, hey, have they been affected by the COVID-19 crisis? Yes or no? And then second question, the bigger question is the hour and pay different from what it was before this? And so we've had a lot of cases just like yours that they were working 40 hours, you know, normal, whatever, and we're ready to go. And then at the end, it's just like that. They've missed a week here. They were furloughed for 2 weeks here. They work less hours. We've had some people that, you know, work a week, take a week off, work a week, take a week off, do it, so they figured out what's going on. So every situation is just so different, but it's just about trying to figure out what we can give them credit for and how stable we think that is going.
Well, like being on, yeah. Well, will be being like on unemployment or something for a 2-month period. Will that affect them too? Like, what if they're making more money on unemployment for 2 months? Because we have heard of that happening.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and then going back to work, that gap of not working, you know, their normal job. How does that come into play?
So depending on loan type, because certain loan types like FHA is very specific. Hey, if you miss a month, I think it is, and don't quote me on that, you might need 6 months back on the job to create stability again. Because again, it's all about stability, and it's all about kind of future forecasting of what we think this person is going to qualify for. So with that, I mean, that's going to be very different. Conventional is different than FHA. VA obviously is a lot more relaxed in certain circumstances. So I would say everything's really just a case-by-case basis. It's how long have they been there? What are you qualifying them with, and what can you get away with? How long were they off or not off? Just so many different variables in there that everything becomes a really deep, like, how can we figure out how to make this work, or what do we need in the future to make this work? So unemployment is very standard for a lot of people, especially in trades that they belong to a union. We see that all the time. We actually use it as part of the qualification process. So if you're part of like electrician's union, it's normal sometimes to, you know, have unemployment here and there. But for someone that's not typical, that's not going to be, you know, it might be a little bit more of a challenge. And then if the fact that they're making more money on that, you would never be able to use that income typically for most places, just because there's no longevity to that. Like you can't.
You're not going to keep getting that.
Sure.
6 years. So yeah. I would just say, you know, like I said, it's a one-on-one conversation, but the great news is that every specific scenario, typically you can come back to that person and say, okay, here's where we're at now, or we're not here yet. Here's what we need in the future to make this all happen. So it's really easy for us as we can kind of put together some hypotheticals and say, here's what needs to happen in the future until actual guidance comes out. There could be something, you know, I'm sure there's going to be chapters eventually in our lending handbooks that has just specific COVID guidance. So time will tell.
Yeah. That's, I guess, Stephen, I think right now, I mean, it's been kind of business as usual for a lot of cases. Honestly, for you, it's been kind of business as usual, Stephen, it seems like. I mean, like people's newly bought houses, but that wave of qualification, that wave of being able to buy or, you know.
Oh, she froze.
We lost her.
Look good.
She does look good. At least it's a good shot.
Yeah.
Right? Her hair's all perfect. We lost her. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Oh, we got you. Whoa.
What happened? I was totally fine. I saw everybody.
You froze.
You froze.
Good pose. We're talking about it.
Oh, and it's saying my connection is unstable, but it's connected to my phone. I don't understand.
Kids, get off Wi-Fi.
No,
I know.
they're all off. They're all off the Wi-Fi. I'm I'm on my phone because the phone Wi-Fi is better than the unstable internet Wi-Fi. Thank you, CenturyLink.
I don't know. Have you run into this? Zoom meetings between 9:30 and 10:30 are horrible. It's when everybody is on the Wi-Fi, and then around 4:15, everybody pops on Netflix. Like, those are the 2 times of the day that I really struggle with technology. We had one this week where I had a Zoom meeting that I was hosting for like 20 people, and my daughter was trying to get on a Microsoft Teams meeting for school. No, just wasn't happening.
The one thing I will say that I think has made this whole social experiment, I shouldn't say social experiment, it's not, it's a health experiment and stuff. This whole situation, I think good for everybody is the fact that it does put in perspective, like, we all have lives outside of work, and sometimes, and yes, we're like in our role at work, but they always are overlapping. We just do a really good job of kind of masking that role at work. Like, when I go on an appointment, I'm not bringing my kids with me. Do you know what I mean? But in this situation, we're doing this socially online. And I mean, I've had kids walk in, my husband's had to play damage control already because one person's mad. And it's like, our lives are all intersecting. And I think there's been a lot more grace afforded to people, especially to, you know, all of us that are parents, but not just that, all of us that have outside lives from our work. I feel like a lot more appreciation and acceptance has taken place within the professional community, at least. What would you say to that?
No, I agree. I think so.
Yeah. Well, your husband, Adrian, your husband is essential, and he gets to still like go to work, right?
Yep, he worked from home today though, so.
So then it gets to be even busier in your house.
Yeah, because he's on conference calls and stuff all day. He's actually on a conference call right now. He just doesn't have to have video. So he is, you know, at the kitchen table. And also trying to man the kids from coming in here.
Oh my, exactly. That's what it is. What about you, Melissa? I know you were just saying with just technology in general for you. I mean, people that you're doing these calls with, are they seeming to be more accepting of the whole situation?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm getting more comfortable with it, right? Like, in the beginning, we're all like, I'm totally fine. And we've talked about this a couple times. But now, like, you'll look away and you'll talk to somebody because this is your life and your family's here, and Steven's on the phone because the borrower probably just called him, and that's important. And we're all kind of getting used to the interruptions that actually would happen in a face-to-face appointment.
Yeah, but it sometimes does happen in a face-to-face appointment. It just happens to never usually be our end. It's usually like, if we're meeting a client, it's usually maybe on their end, like maybe their kids run in or something happens. It's interesting because as the professionals in what we do, it's kind of making us, I think, a lot more real and down to earth because we have these outside lives going on. And I've found a lot more acceptance from so many clients. I have a child coming in the door right now. That'll be very loud, I can assure you. But we have a lot more acceptance of the fact that, you know, we're homeschooling, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're still selling houses, and there's said child, and all the things. And it's like, there's almost a higher level of appreciation, I think, you know, like all the things we are doing. And yet, same thing, it's in a higher level of appreciation for all the things other people are doing. I don't know, I'm taking a lot more mercy and grace and acceptance and kindness attitude towards all the people right now, because I think everybody's doing their very, very best, and everybody's doing the thing that makes them like that they do, and they're all doing it like I think in a lot of respects to the best of their abilities. Like, I'm looking at my kids' teachers, like they are freaking amazing. Which, by the way, I found out Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. So if your teacher is doing a killer job, my teachers are doing a killer job, oh my gosh, they deserve all the things right now, because they are really busting their butts and working way harder than they used to have to. I mean, honestly, than having the kids in class. I mean, I think.
Agree. And let's talk about our children and what they're seeing through this time period, right? Like, all of a sudden they're seeing what mom and dad do all day long for work, and they're learning the amount of time that we don't just leave the house and come home and magically the house functions. Like they're really seeing what we do. And now with school being online, like they're starting to emulate it. Like they see our Zoom meetings and our Teams meetings, and now they get to have their little Teams meetings, and they're taking them more seriously because they're watching us do it multiple times a day. It's pretty sweet. And their lives are forever changed, and their expectation and understanding of the world is forever changed.
Yeah, my son, it's so funny you say that because my son has to do videos for school every single day. They have to record, like they'll give a task, like show a skill or, you know, watch this on YouTube and then draw it and then share about it or whatever. So he has to make these videos every day. They're like a minute and a half. And today, since his dad was working from home and was in my office, he couldn't be in here to do it. So his 3-year-old sister is like in the background, like, I want to see, and like copying everything that he's saying as he is doing it. And it was just like, and I'm like, do you see now too why I need you guys to be quiet and be upstairs? Like, yeah. So it is, you're exactly right. I think that they are understanding, you know, things a little bit better.
Well, I know my daughter has taken the initiative upon herself, which I found to be amazing. But she took the initiative, my 4th grader, to get up. She gets up at like 6 a.m. so she can get in our schoolroom, which is the dining room, and get all of her IXL, all of her reading, math, all the things independently that she can do.
Oh no, we lost her again.
Dang it. Oh no.
Becky.
Bye-bye.
Hello. There you are.
Am I back? Am I
You're
back?
back.
No.
You're
Yeah.
back.
Okay. So what I'm saying is the fact that Bristol's been able to get to like she goes into school at 6 a.m. self-motivated to just get all of like the independent learning things out of the way and done basically before breakfast. So that way then she claims she has more time to play, which then we found this week that she actually has been kind of skipping out of the classroom work that she's supposed to do. But like, I love that she wants to do that because she realized, she took the initiative and said, if I get it done sooner, then I have the whole rest of my day. And I'm like, that's a really important lesson, honestly, for your life, that you're taking this initiative and setting it up so you're getting all these things done right now. It's kind of like us. I mean, if I don't get my workout in the morning, it will not happen. So, I mean, it's important that they're seeing the things that we do along the line too and going, gosh, I can do that. And I think that's really important. And we've been really big on setting the goals. Like, we got to keep goals moving forward here. At least I'm a very goal-oriented person in business and life. And for them to see, okay, we have this goal, this is what we want to do. They self-made goals on the list over here of like what they want to do. One of the things Bristol wants to do is have a YouTube channel with her sister. I don't know if that's happening, but I appreciate the ambition. It's great.
Now, are you guys, did we talk about this last week? Because I think we might have, but our kids have always had technology kind of like at their fingertips, and it's been our job to like moderate that, right? Mm-hmm. But they've been thrust into some pieces of technology that I haven't even considered. Like YouTube, that's something that I'm aware of and monitor correctly. But email, like my kids learning email has been just mind-blowing to me. It's not a discussion that I thought I would be having with them as far as like, how is an email threaded and what is the subject line and how many people are CC'd on it, and when you respond, are you replying to everybody? How do you attach a file or a meme or
you know what?
I'm like, I'm not prepared.
I want to just interject. The fact that you're teaching them how to not reply to everybody is a lesson that a lot of the brokers in our office could learn.
That's
right?
true.
Every company in the world can figure that out.
Exactly.
I mean, how not to reply all to the reply all.
Don't reply all. Always know who you're sending that to, because nobody wants to see all the details of all the things. And then yes. So Melissa, bravo on your parenting right there, because that's a thing.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's a plan thing, but I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's from Ivy, and that's from Twyla, and that's from Madison, because they were all CC'd, and like, I was not prepared at all for this piece of it.
Yeah, I don't really think, I will say my husband does most of the homeschooling, so I don't think they're on, I think they just get most of their assignments that way. They're always Zooming, but the fact that my kindergartner has her own email address is a very odd thing to know. I was quite surprised when I found that out, because I was like, I had to send something to Jess via her email, and I'm like, well, how do I get this to you? And he's like, this is her email. I'm like, she has an email? She's 5. Like, how does she have an email? How is that a thing? Do you want to know what my email was when I was like 16? It was beckbutterfly02 at Hotmail. Okay.
Yes.
And that, by the way, was my first email address in real estate, which was a very professional way to go.
Yes, it
Like,
was.
and you couldn't email me the offer, so I guess it really didn't matter. You have to fax that to me, facsimile it to me. But the but when I'd be like, so you can email me that pre-approval letter, Stephen, to BECKBUTTERFLY. Yeah, that's right.
Wait, you said it one more time?
Yeah, I know.
I would make you repeat that. That's priceless. I love that.
I'm just disappointed it wasn't a Yahoo or an AOL email.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely a Hotmail. It was definitely the era of the Hotmail, and I remember creating it in my my high school yearbook classroom. Yes, I do. Mrs. Main's classroom, Bethel High School. Remember?
Yeah.
These are all the things that come back to me. All the things. Seriously. So, your son Stephen is the only graduate this year, correct?
Yep. He's the last one. I'm done. I'm out.
Oh, you do. So, hey,
I get to live through all of you guys.
well, is he gonna like put on his cap and gown and like walk around the house?
So yeah, I think they're picking it up tomorrow. They're doing like a regatta. So it's going to be like, we have a specific driving plan for Sumner High School. Like we pick it up, and like everyone, all the seniors will be in a row, and there's like teachers out there. So it'll be a whole thing. Less of a thing than what he probably ever wanted it to be, but it's something for now. We'll take it. Thank you, Sumner High School.
I will say, I feel like that even the drive-by birthdays, the drive-by things, like all the things that people are putting together, I think it's just really, it's pretty awesome. I mean, what's happening is just what, honestly, everything, in my opinion, the history of America is like, you see a problem, you're solving a problem to the very best of your ability, given the confines of what you have. And I just think that's a really creative thing to do. I mean, I had friends put together a Zoom birthday for me, like back early, and like, just in fact, like seeing people Zoom, like driving past. I took a key box off of a house in University Place, and I was like, what is all this traffic? And it was so cute. This girl right next door to the house I took the key box off, there was big signs and balloons, and it must have been like her 15th or 16th birthday, which if it was her 16th, bless her heart, all these people driving past slowly in a caravan, loving on her. I'm like, oh, that is kind of, I mean, it might not be what you were wanting, but at the same time, it's also something, like you said, Melissa, it's something they'll never forget, like ever. It's a season in life that they'll never forget. So I'm looking forward to never forgetting this season, and also never doing this season.
Yes, I second that.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking about that? Because people they're speculating that if we see another spike, we're coming back to it.
Yeah, I've heard that. Once we hit the fall, winter.
Yeah.
When we get these kids back together,
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I mean, I don't know. Well, here's the thing. I do not even want to go down the rabbit hole of my own conspiracy theories, so I won't.
Oh my gosh, I love it. This is what we do like all day in my group, so fire away.
bring it.
Well, okay, if you must. One,
We must.
I'm not getting a vaccination that has not been tested for years. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. 2, I'm not going to give that crap to my kids because I'm not. And 3, why would I give it to my kids? Because last time I checked, in the state of Washington, like 91% of people that have passed away, rest in peace, are like way older than children. So I'm not doing that. So I'm not going to be for that. I think at some point, I don't think our social distancing is going to really, I think we're going to continue social distancing for as much as we can. I feel like this weird bubble space between us is definitely going to happen. I think more than anything, big sporting events. The big sporting events. Like I haven't renewed my. It kind of breaks my heart. I haven't renewed my UW season tickets, even though I talked to them and I was like, I'm renewing them. I think I'm still going to, just in the hope and the like camaraderie that it's going to happen. But I don't know. I don't know if college football is going to happen. I don't know if the Seahawks are going to play, and if they do, it might not be for a stadium full of fans. I just think that's the kind of stuff that's sadly going to be affected, and it may be affected through the rest of the year. But at the end of the day, I also don't think that as human beings, like you can't, I mean, we can't keep going like this forever and ever and ever and ever. It's just not a thing. And not in my opinion. And I think we need humans, and I need connection. Forget maybe everybody else. I need the connection, and I need the hugs. It's turning me into a hugger and a kisser and a smack the asser. That's what it's turning me into. And I didn't.
Jeff benefits. Jeff does all that.
But you have no idea. But you have no idea. The moment I see probably any of you, it might happen. It might be like a hug, a kiss, and a smack. Like it just may be a thing because I miss connection.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I know. I can't wait, Adrian. I'm like, we love you.
It's natural. The problem is it's natural, especially for what a lot of us do. To at least shake hands.
The handshake.
Yeah, someone came in the other day and dropped something off, and I reached out, shook my hand. He was like, and I was thinking, I don't know that I'll hopefully ever have to get away from that, but I just feel like that.
I feel like the handshake is going to be a thing of the past.
Are we all going to be namaste?
Right? Elbows?
Oh, I am always like, I have had grown, strong men that always compliment me on my handshake. I do not want my handshake to go away. I have a strong, like, thank you very much handshake. And so I'm keeping my handshake for as long as I can, as long as it's okay. I want to do it. I had clients like last week that I had my glove on and they didn't have a glove on. They were in their own home. And I was like, all right, well, it's been awesome. Yay, we got your house listed. Yay. And they were like, we're so excited. And she reached out. She goes, can I shake your hand? And I was like, yes, you can. I'm in a glove. You want to shake my hand? And I was so happy that they wanted to shake my hand because I miss it's that even that simple of a connection. God, I'm going to be so sad.
Cross-contamination. Ew. Throw the glove off.
Me? Oh, no, I don't think about.
You know what's sad that I didn't think about till recently is that they started doing projections on suicides, and they started talking about the uptick in domestic and violence and like child abuse and stuff.
Yep. It's way worse.
All that stuff is so sad to even think about. They've had huge spikes in that. So that's the saddest. That's so sad.
And I'm sorry, but that I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to say it. I promise.
Well, it's sad that we don't even know because the schools report that stuff, right?
A lot of times kids, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I saw, that a lot of people, like, that's their safe haven, is to get away from parents or from a spouse, and then all of a sudden they're trapped 24 hours a day, and that's so heartbreaking.
Right. Well, and as parents, we felt frustration in this new normal that we've been living in, which obviously you're never gonna hurt your child, but you've felt that frustration in this. And if there's somebody out there that doesn't have the control or the mindset and they feel that frustration, I don't want to think about it.
Well, we had our children. I took my kids, two of my three, to their well child doctor visit today because my pediatrician is like the best, and he is so hard to get into. And shockingly, his schedule's a lot more open right now. So we got him in, and that was one of the questions he asked Asher. He said to my almost 13-year-old, he was like, "How are you enjoying? Are you doing okay with like work, school from home?" And of course, Asher's like, "Oh yeah, it's awesome." I'm like, great, spoken like a true introvert.
Yeah.
And he kept following it up. He was like, how is your mental state, buddy? Like, how are you doing? Like, are you feeling at all like anxious or depressed? How do you feel? He's like, I get to spend time with my family and I'm at home. That's pretty awesome, actually. I'm like, I mean, I'm not mad at that answer, but
it's like an introvert's dream.
Oh, it's totally his dream. He's loving his life right now. But then he asks Bristol, "Baby, how are you doing?" Well, he didn't say baby. He's like, "Bristol, how are you doing right now?" And it's like, I miss my friends. I miss my friends and my teacher, and I miss doing lunch with them, and I miss hanging out with them, and I miss playing at recess with them. And I didn't get to do my play, and I am so mad that I didn't get to act in my play. And I'm like, my little extrovert, I know.
Yeah, I wonder whose kid that is.
I know, it's weird. Except I didn't do drama because I'm not very good at drama. Believe it or not, I'm not. I'm not very good. I'm the actor of my own life, of my own story.
I also read an article, and it could have been fake news. I don't know. I did not vet it or confirm it. That there, but that deaths were up in Oregon for just regular medical issues because people were afraid
To go to the doctor?
to go to the doctor.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it could have been total clickbait. I didn't click on it.
Well, I think I did hear something about like a lot of nurses and so forth were not working because it was for that reason that the people weren't coming into the emergency rooms for a little bit of a fever or a cut, or, you know, like people were trying to take care of themselves at home, you know, and going to the hospital as like a last resort.
Which is what the hospital, the emergency room should be, to be honest. I mean, like, if you have, you know, your limb detached, you should go into the ER. If you have a, you know, like tummy ache, you should not go into the ER. You should like just check it out and like monitor those things. But I think that has been a thing where the doctors, nurses, all the things are not, you know, I'm just gonna say, give me all the elective again, because I need to get my Botox, and I'm sorry, I am not. I will happily go in there. I will happily go in there and let their masked face and their gloved hands shoot my stuff up. Like, that'll be fantastic. So
I do think like the salons are like the cleanest place that you could probably go into.
They wear gloves all the time, and they can wear a mask, and they're breathing in bleach anyways. Like, I don't see how being around me is gonna affect you.
Are those opening up next week?
I don't think so. I actually had to call my mother, who is like 68 years old, and say, Mom, I might need you to give me a YouTube tutorial on dyeing my hair. And I don't know how to do that, you guys. So I'm a little terrified, because she then was like, well, you don't have to just dye your hair. I could just send you a couple wigs and you could throw on the wigs. I'm like,
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Your mom is cool.
Next
so
week.
we should do that. Do the
Next week happy hour.
I
And
know.
I feel like your hairdresser fell out of her chair or his chair by listening to you saying you're going to do like a box or like do your own color. Every hairdresser in the world just froze up. from fear.
I mean, like, I literally looked at my husband. I said, I didn't realize until I was doing all these videos, because we've all been doing more videos. And when I looked at it, I was like, I look a little bit more like lighter up top. What is that? And I look and I take a picture. I took a picture, you guys. It's kind of like, I'm not even going to say it. It's kind of like when people take other pictures, but it's like a picture that I took of my head. And I was like, there is gray hair everywhere. And I looked at Jeff and I go, do I really have that much gray hair? And he's like, well, I wasn't going to say anything, but you know how you think salt and pepper on guys looks cute? I mean, I think it looks cute. I'm like,
Yes.
no.
Wrong answer.
Until my name is Anderson Cooper, I am not having the gray hair.
It's cool.
I'm all about I'm not in favor for the wig thing. I have a couple of friends that have some really fun wigs that you're like, I don't have the time to invest in learning how to do that, but like they throw on those wigs and I'm like, yeah, I like it. I'm not mad at it.
I think Kim Zolciak Bierman has a line, and I might go online tonight and like Google that and be like, ooh, I think I can be the blonde bombshell. Ooh, I think I can be the redhead majesty. Boom. Sure.
The best thing to come out of COVID is that you can show up the next day with a different hair color and nobody asks any questions.
The fact that my barista today had purple hair, like beautiful, long, like violet hair, and I was like, considering buying just a trial and throwing that on my head, I was like, I bet you I could do that right now. Like, no, like, what am I thinking? It's getting to my head. So, anyway, we should probably start wrapping it up. As always, I was hopeful that we would be over this by Monday, but I'm I know that that is not the case, that the governor would like to all keep us safe and at home or something. And so it will extend, but we don't know when because there's no dates. So we will know more tomorrow in the state of Washington. But I'm
We
really
made it through April. We made it, you guys. We
But
made
do we-
it. We survived. We got through it. We
But
can,
do we want to make it through May? I don't want to do that.
I know.
I just wanted
Let's
to
do it.
like maybe May 15th, maybe. I think we can. I mean, I
Yes.
can. I feel like we're like on lap. I feel like we're on mile like 22 of the marathon right now. Like I know it's getting close. It's getting close.
Yeah.
We're almost there. But I really want it over. So yay.
Yes.
But what do you think? I mean, wrap it up. Final thoughts. I guess let's go this. Melissa, what have you learned during this not 4 week, this 6, 7, 12, 19,000 week of quarantine, and what are you grateful for? What have you learned and what are you grateful for? Boom, go.
Okay, so I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna do professionally and personally.
Perfect.
If you hustle and you get out there and you do your job and you know your craft and you take care of people, that things like this can't bring you down. Because it turns out that your phone will ring when people know that you can help. And that's a really nice feeling. The personal thing I've learned is I've really gotten a chance to get to know my kids in a different way, how they learn. And, you know, I have identical twins that are very much the same and very different. But it's been fun to watch them learn and watch their minds work and watch them absorb information in very, you know, individual ways. And I feel like I know them better, and they might know me better, for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I am grateful that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And that we're getting through it collectively as a community, and everybody, like you said earlier, Becky, has shown so much grace for what life really is. I don't think we're going to forget that anytime soon.
Agreed. All right, Steven, your turn.
All right. I am happy. Wait, what was that? What was the two questions?
What have you learned and what are you grateful for in the 7,000 week of quarantine?
Got it. Wait, what was the first one?
Oh, God.
What have I learned? I have learned that I can be happy with less to do. So I've always been, especially my wife would tell me this all the time, like I'm the guy who's like sitting around in the house on a Saturday, and after an hour I'm like, we have to go do something right now. Let's go shop, let's go to the ocean, let's go book a vacation, let's go do something. And now it's gotten to be less, right? There's just not a lot of things that we can do. So it's the simple stuff of, we take a family walk every night. We sit on the deck and hang out and enjoy, you know, some sunshine. We make dinner every night. Well, within reason. So a lot of the time. So it's just a lot. I usually am not the guy that would sit around for hours and hours and, you know, do less. It's always about, I want to do like 100 things at once. So I think that's definitely taught me that I don't need to do that. And then I think I can absolutely say, like Melissa said, just the family time. We always try to make a habit of having dinner together. Sometimes dinner's a little bit later because of my job, but we've actually ended up doing, you know, 2 meals together most days, or 3 meals in some cases. And that's just been kind of cool, especially as my kids get older. It's a lot different because they're just different people now than they were when they were, you know, 5, 7, 10. Now that I have an 18 and 20-year-old, it's just a whole different conversation. And now the talk is, what's the next step in life? How do we take a basic job and go up to this? Careers, like happiness, life balance. So the conversation is just a whole different conversation. So that's been a great thing.
Well, and that's really cool because like they're gonna eventually move out and move on and have families of their own, and you won't get that time back in this way. You know, that's a really cool season that you get to have.
Has your grocery bill gone up a ton?
Yes.
It's in the
Yeah,
household.
mostly from Uber Eats. I don't know what that is, but yeah, a lot of groceries.
Oh. Yeah.
You know, Stephen, that's amazing because so many of us with younger children are really like enjoying this time to get to know them and watch them grow.
Yeah.
But what a great opportunity to have that springboard conversation with them before they leave the house.
Yeah.
To be able to slow down enough to really map it out and have some deep and emotional conversations that 9-year-olds don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
It's very cool. Adrienne, what about you, girl?
Yeah, I would say I am learning that I'm a perfectionist by nature, and so I've just kind of learned that things right now are not perfect. Like my daughter also just like walked in here, like things aren't always picture perfect, and I think too, like it's taught me a lot of patience and teaching schoolwork and doing my job and things like that. It like I said, it's just taught me a lot of patience, and I'm like you, Becky. I really hope that we come out of this with people just being kinder to each other.
Good.
And I mean, like if this is what we're going through or whatever, I really just hope that's something good. And I think it is. Like you do see so much of the community like rallying around one another, and different kids for birthdays. I know teachers, one of my really good girlfriends is a teacher in Bethel School District, and they did a parade today for all of the kids in their school and drove through all of the kids' neighborhoods and stuff. And I just think that I hope that it does bring something so good and like a really great lesson for like these kids.
That's awesome. No, I love that. I agree. I think the adaptability and like what people can do, I think thinking outside the box, changing the narrative, not having it be like this is what it is, but really adapting to what the current circumstances are and how can we rise above. I find that to be so empowering and so encouraging. I saw a quote today on one of my girlfriend's social media pages, and it said, tough times will always happen, but tough people will endure forever. And it's like, I think that it's creating a toughness mentally, emotionally, professionally. And I think if it doesn't, and it's not something that's happening in people, then I think that there's a lot more growth opportunity for those people. But I know for me, I look at it like, if we're not growing, we're dying. If we're not adapting, we're not moving with what's happening in the world. So for me, it's been a humbling experience. I have always had big goals, and it drives me crazy when things change, but I'm learning to accept that with grace. And just like you, Melissa, I'm loving to be at home. I'm actually loving that my kids want to be here and be with me and my husband. I'm loving that we actually have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun outside, and that we have the property to run around and to do a ton of stuff with. In fact, I feel healthier, which is crazy. I've been working out more, I've been eating better, and I've been outside more and energizing my mind, my body, and my spirit. So, I think that going into whatever the next chapter of this whole situation looks like is a good thing. I think growth in our literally mentally, emotionally, spiritually and physically is always a good thing. So that's what I'm just going through right now. So as we wrap up, I just want to appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your time again. I always value our little happy hours because it's the only happy hour I really have every year. I can't wait to I might just get the good bottle of something when we're all together and just like, drinks on me! That's what we might do. So
I'm in.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that.
It will. It will happen. Alrighty, y'all. It's almost, I know, and a hug. And smack.
And smack bottles. That's right.
I might just even walk past you and just go with my hands. You'll know what that all means. All right, it's time. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Thanks, Becky. Bye, guys.